Hello and welcome to this discussion today. We're talking about reducing multi-cloud complexity, and I'm talking with Emma, a cloud management platform. My name's Simon Ratcliffe. I'm a principal consultant at Ensono, and today I'm joined by Dmitry Panenkov, the CEO and the founder of Emma. So, hi Dmitry, how about you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. So my name is Dmitry. I'm founder and CEO at Emma. 23 years of a networking and a security background. So I started my career at the biggest system integrators, then made like a few transitions to the product management guy, and then to the sales and the business developer. I led the sales and the business development at like the biggest networking American companies, and then 5 years ago I realized that it's time for me to move forward and to build something that is like really important from my opinion, of course. And that's how we started Emma back in the days. So yeah, I'm really excited to have this conversation. Let's kick it off.
Well, it sounds good. So, to everybody out there listening, the one thing you've got, although we both look much younger than we are, is years and years of experience that you can listen to and draw upon as we go. And one of the things we're going to be talking about today is kind of the cloud pains that IT leaders are facing, and having a look at some of these challenges and seeing how they can be overcome. Because a lot of businesses are struggling, really, I think, to realize the full value of these virtual environments that they've got. And multi-cloud has become a thing. And I think for a long time, certainly in my experience, it started off as an accident. People ended up with multi-cloud because they just ended up in that position. But more and more now, I think it's becoming a strategy. It's becoming a deliberate intent. Some of it's being driven by governance and compliance requirements. Some of it's just being governed by actually choices available. The trouble is, as people go into this, I guess that's when they sense there's this complexity here, and there is the pains that they're doing. So let's start, Dimitri, by having a look at maybe if people are going down a multi-cloud route, what are the sort of business values that they're realizing from that at the moment, do you think?
Uh, when we started the company, we've been thinking that okay, there's like a huge opportunity. Everyone is shifting to the multiple clouds for the different purposes, either for testing or for the redundancy purposes, or they acquire someone. So a lot of reasons. But when we launched the product and when we started to onboard the customers, we realized that nobody actually wants to be in a multi-cloud, right? So it's not their choice. Everyone wants to be agnostic in terms of like cloud. They want to deploy their applications however they want, wherever they want. And I mean, from this perspective, the multi-cloud sounds like a good possible way for them to build and deploy and deliver their applications to the end users. But again, unfortunately, on the market, there's a lack of like a comprehensive tools that could help companies who are stuck in a multi-cloud environment manage these environments the right way. That's why we built Emma to address this complexity. But again, still, when you're reaching out to the customers and you're trying to pitch them the multi-cloud, everyone is fed up. So nobody wants to be there. Everyone wants to be like agnostic, and that's what you've mentioned back in the days in your article. I read that's like really impressive. It looks like we were like building the same delivering the same approach together back in the days. So yeah, it's not multi-cloud anymore. It's cloud agnostic, I think.
And you know, I think that's a really important distinction. You're right, because multi-cloud scares people because it's I've got to look here, I've got to look here, I've got to look here, and that's yeah, nobody wants to be in that world, but as you say, they want that freedom to be in the right place without having to think about it. And I guess that's what people are battling against, isn't it? It's trying to be agnostic, trying to find the right thing in the right place, but also not not wanting to struggle to have to look in all of these different places and see multiple clouds, which I guess, yeah, that's a really good driver for the solution you're building. So I think as people go down the agnostic route, is there are some challenges out there which are perhaps a little bit more obvious, but what are some of the ones that out there that you found as you've talked to people that they've suddenly faced that maybe they weren't expecting? What is something that surprised you that people have struggled with?
What really surprised me, I mean, they have different struggles, and in common they have, like, the cloud resource management, this optimization things, cost management, like egress management. So different uh, different things, but they are obvious, right? What really surprised me, I mean, our customers, they struggle of having these, multiple tools they need to manage even two clouds. So normally on top of like two clouds, they have one tool for the cost management, the other tool for the like Kubernetes cost management and governance if they use the microservices, the third tool for the automation, the fourth tool for the networking, the fifth tool for the security, then the sixth tool, I mean, for the role based access sort of things. And then they find themselves with two cloud service providers, 6 7 different tools on top, uh, distributed responsibility, no single point of like support of a contract, of a contact, and they struggle a lot. And when we launched the platform, we never thought, I mean, that it's so huge, this struggle. We when we reached out to one of our first biggest customers, these guys, they told us, okay, we've spent a few mails onboarding this tool. Then we realized, okay, that we got the insights, but we cannot just deploy these insights, or I mean use these insights, because our tool cannot just get connected in using all these privileges, accesses, whatever, to our accounts, and just apply these recommendations. So we moved to another tool. We paid again like a couple of mails, and again that happened, because right now we're stuck in a situation where the number of API calls that we use, it's actually limited, and we cannot just move forward. So when we hear such stories, we're quite happy that we released the product back in 2021 in November, and finally the customers, they get this, they can use the product that actually addresses the different pain points they might have.
So it's the sense of finding the right tool for the right job is a challenge in itself. But I would imagine also trying to keep that up to date, because the speed at which all the different clouds move along, the tool's got to move along with it. And if one tool's connected to another tool and one cloud moves, I mean, it becomes an endless game of trying to keep up. So yeah, it makes perfect sense to me that there is that frustration in there as well. And as you say, nobody gets that single view. Nobody can actually really see what's going on, which
No
makes
one
sense.
is responsible. No one is responsible, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it then becomes that massive challenge when something goes wrong. Everybody just points at everybody else and goes, "Well, I don't know what it is because I can't see it." Or
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's that makes perfect sense. I mean, and what one of the other things that you were talking about in there is how all of this is joined together, because that is also the other challenge that people have, is we have different clouds in different places, and also particularly with global organizations, we've got different instances of the same cloud in different places, and even getting a singular view of that can be a challenge sometimes. So, what's what's your solution in a way to how all of this joins up at a sort of network level, at the connectivity level? Because to me, having all of these different little islands out there is quite a challenge.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most challenging things for the customers, because in a multi-cloud environments, the cloud networking connectivity is like crucial, right? So, and uh, normally at the mature organizations, we see that nearly 60% of their cloud bill are related to the networking costs, to the egress costs, right? That's why we've built our networking backbone. So that's the physical network that connects the different cloud service providers with each other: AWS, Google, Azure, local providers. So any one of them, we provide the seamless and reliable connection between the different services, the different products at the different cloud service providers. So it's like unified backbone. So this networking backbone scales from 100 megabits per second to 100 gigabits per second, and in some cases we can scale it up to 400 gigabits per second, meaning you can deploy your Kubernetes workloads across the different cloud service providers, or build like redundant database where the primary node is located somewhere in London, the secondary node located somewhere in Frankfurt. We do the network connectivity, load balancing. We can guarantee the throughput, we can guarantee the bandwidth, we can guarantee the latency. So, I mean, in Europe, for example, the latency is, even if you take, let's say, Lisbon and Warsaw. I mean, so it's quite a big part of Europe you need to cover with the network. So even in this case, you get the latency below than 45 milliseconds. So you can deploy whatever you want, like across Europe, even the sovereign Kubernetes clusters, right? So that's really important. And thanks God we started with that. That was the foundation of our platform, and that was our, like, the guess. We didn't know for sure, and when we built this network, we reached out to the customers, and it turned out that we can reduce their egress costs by at least by 50% at least, and then we also can deliver this seamless, scalability, there's redundancy with this network, and on top of that, we've built the software that known as Emma right now.
So that's pretty impressive, to reduce the egress costs by 50%, which, and you say they're significant costs in a lot of cases. They're the ones that always seem to catch people out. But it is giving people that ability also to build very resilient, or even localized if they want to deliver locally. So yeah, to be able to put it into the local user base is equally impressive. But also, you can connect up. It's not just the big boys, is it? It's not just Azure. It's not just AWS. You can get local, smaller clouds in there as well. So people can genuinely make a choice.
Yeah. This is correct. Moreover, today we work here in Luxembourg with the different local partners, local cloud providers, and they want us to help them to get connected with each other, because they understand that as a standalone provider, it's quite hard for them to compete, let's say, with the hyperscalers, and it's quite hard for them to attract the customers from the different regions. But if we provide their customers the united platform that connects the several providers, and we pitch the idea of this sovereignty, that the sensitive data stays in Europe, in a specific region, let's say in Germany, and the provider is fully compliant with the local regulations. But if the customer wants to scale, and he needs the certain workloads to scale, and he needs the certain, let's say, hardware to be used, for example, the GPU instances, right? That he could use this network to scale, I don't know, to the local provider based out of Spain, or to the local provider based out of Poland. And then he can get this combined capacity of these GPU accelerators to process his models, right? So that's the other upside that we see out of this networking backbone that unites the local cloud service providers.
That's brilliant. I hadn't seen it that way around. I think that's incredibly powerful to be able to kind of, as you say, you unite some of those capabilities, but also staying. And one of the biggest challenges we all face working in the cloud world is trying to stick to local data governance laws, because they are so different in different places. Very strict as well, which is why I think some of the hyperscalers have struggled in some of the European countries. And this solves the problem, because I think a lot of clients. I do a lot of work in Germany, for example, and talking to clients over there. One of their challenges is we'd love to go on a decent cloud, but actually it's a challenge when you look at the Azure and the AWS, because of their local laws. But trying to get the local providers connected to everything is equally challenging. So that is an ideal solution for that one for sure. So it sounds like there's an amazing underpinning infrastructure to all of this. But if we just move on a little bit and have a look at the IT teams themselves here, it's what can they do then to kind of get a handle, you using Emma as the platform to work to get a handle on their environments and actually gain, if you like, reap the rewards, I suppose, for one of a better phrase. What's the best approach, do you think, for teams like this to take?
So the best approach for teams to use Emma is to is to consider the platform as a helping hand, as a tool that helps them to avoid like the vendor lock-ins, that provides them with the certain visibility on the resources that they haven't used, that helps them to provision these resources, deploy these resources across the different cloud environments, no matter if it's like private or public or hybrid environments. On top of that, if they want to like reduce the complexity, avoid these vendor lock-ins, and deliver the products to their end users faster, and be like quite assured that these applications they like deliver to the end users will work when, let's call it, nothing works, because of the redundancy capabilities of our platform, because of this networking super multi-redundant capacities that we do provide. So that would be the sort of consideration, the right consideration for the companies when they look at us. So again, that's the visibility, the resource management, the cloud optimization, and on top of that, that's the certain freedom, not only like the freedom of choice, but also freedom for the technical stuff. Nobody wants to spend so much time on this maintenance, on this support of the legacy environments of like this instances, VMs, Kubernetes, whatever. Everyone sees that see themselves like sending the SpaceX X rockets to the Mars. So everyone wants to contribute into this world, and I think they should do this. And the maintenance and the support should be like a legacy that is done by the platforms like Emma. So that's what we normally offer, and that's what the customers they buy. They buy this freedom, they buy this peace of mind, they buy definitely the cost amendments, and the shortened time to market, so they can deliver the products faster. Yeah,
So this whole complexity of multi-cloud, in a way, can just be alleviated. It can, it's, as you say, they can go away and they can focus on the important parts of using what's out there, rather than spending half their lives trying to work out what's where and why is it not working, which is a huge benefit. I mean, can we underpin this? Have you got some good examples of customers that you've got who've seen a real difference from the platform out there? I think it's always good if we can share some of those stories.
yeah, sure thing. I have my favorite case, very favorite case. This company, they produce the electric vehicles for the public transportation, and for the commercial deliveries. They work with like the biggest delivery companies in the world, and when you design the electric vehicle, or you just design the car, you normally need to calculate all this like range, aerodynamics, all the things. And you have a lot of different math models. You normally have the algorithms. You have your application deployed somewhere, let's say in a Kubernetes cluster, like in this case. And if you change anything, for example, the wheel diameter, everything changes. The range, the aerodynamics, everything. So, and the guys, when they were like building this, designing these cars, they were using the application that, in case of any change, called the Kubernetes cluster that was launching the different models to recalculate everything using the reserved instances out of the one of the service providers. And that was quite efficient, but quite expensive. So upside here, you always know that you'll get the instance. Downside here, it's a quite expensive exercise. And when they moved the workloads to Emma, they deployed the same sort of a Kubernetes cluster, but because of the networking backbone, they were able to auto-scale the Kubernetes when the application feels that it needs to scale, using the spot instances from all the available cloud service providers. Because AWS has the spot instances, and they were trying to do this with AWS, but it's quite hard with the single provider to get the relevant instance and be sure that you will always get these instances in, let's say, this region or this availability zone. So normally AWS locks you in a single availability zone. And normally the other providers, they do pretty much the same. If you want to scale beyond, you need to build it yourself. Anyhow. So with our networking backbone, we eliminate this complexity. So you can pick spot instance from Azure, from Google, from AWS. You can release these instances. You can scale up and scale down. And you can, what is important here, you can save a lot of time and money because the platform does this automatically. And on the other hand, you use the spot instances. So the instances that cost you, let's say, 80% less than the reserved instances, sometimes like 95% less. So this is one of my favorite cases because we help these guys to save nearly 80% out of their cloud bill using Emma and leveraging the network and the managed Kubernetes service that we do provide. So that's one of the best examples. I never saw this sort of outcome like this. So nearly 80% in savings.
That's pretty impressive, being because essentially a lot of the spot instances are given out just because that's spare capacity, so they might as well get something for it. So it's actually using that, which I would imagine probably has, is a good impact on their usage as well. It's not just financial. I think
Sure.
the thing that struck me in there though is, as you say, it can go out and it can find the different whatever's available on all the different platforms, but if you were doing that manually, if you were doing that without Emma in there, you'd need to know all of those platforms, wouldn't you? Wouldn't there have to be a wider skills knowledge around the different platforms? So in a way, is Emma not actually helping that kind of, I suppose, what we've always referred to as the cloud skills gap in some ways?
Good point. Thanks. That's so. When I see these posts on the LinkedIn from the really professional guys posting the new achievement in, let's say, AWS trainings or Azure trainings or Google, I really I'm start thinking, okay, so you spent a lot of time and money and efforts to get this AWS achievement, right? But what happens if tomorrow the other bigger company acquires yours and you change the standards and the only thing you know is like AWS? Would you leave the company? So meaning this would like force you to leave the company, and I don't think that that's the right that's the right approach here. That's why we've built the unified platform that simplifies the interaction with the clouds. So that's the no-code platform. Definitely, we do have the powerful API gateway, and you can connect whatever tool you're familiar with, like starting from Terraform and ending up with like Chef, Puppet, so Ansible, whatever, to automate the deployment. But again, so in a nutshell, we have the powerful dashboard, really simple. This dashboard equally works with AWS, Azure, Google, with the different services, virtual machines, applications, whatever. So the customer understands from from the day one, I mean, the technical guys, the onboarding process streamlines significantly. So you can spend less time onboarding your engineers, and you need less of these high skilled professionals to join your team to be able to manage this cloud front that you have. So that's the good point. I don't really believe that this certification, uh, let's say life of this certificates and this achievements of these certificates will last forever. So definitely it's overcomplicated, and you need to learn a lot about this native cloud services that providers offer, instead of like building the next layer of abstraction. You probably see this as well. Everyone, no matter if it's like infrastructure as code or the platforms like Emma is a no-code tool, everyone is trying to build this layer of abstraction because it's over complicated to learn all these AWS, Azure, Google services they have. Over complicated.
Yeah. It's almost like it's come in a circle, because when the cloud first arrived, one of the promises of the cloud was you don't actually need all of this technical knowledge in your business anymore, because hey, it's in the cloud, and Microsoft or Amazon or whoever will run it for you. But you're absolutely right. That's then moved on, and yes, absolutely, we now need that knowledge, and it kind of self defeats what I think one of the original purposes of the cloud was. But by putting that abstracted layer back in there, it gets us back to where cloud, I think, should have been going in the first place, which is it becomes an enabler to deliver the solution, not something you have to learn to make it work. So
Yeah,
I think you're driving in the right direction there for sure.
yeah. I mean, we have these cycles. We had ARPANET and all these university nets. Then we simplified this with the internet browser. Then we managed to get these applications, bigger applications, content delivery networks, like I don't know, like Google has, for example, to deliver the content of YouTube, right? And then you need to deploy faster, and then you create the next layer of abstraction with the clouds, and then the clouds they become too complicated, over complicated, and then you need to build the next layer of abstraction to simplify this. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we have this every single not a century, but every single decade, I think.
Yes, it is. It's yeah. I've been around in this business long ago to watch it all go around in circles, and it's quite interesting. So, I mean, on that note, what's next? Do you think? What do you think the IT? What's the next iteration of IT infrastructure in the future? Where do you see that going?
Uh, Again, that should be one another, let's say, leap or one another circle, right? Uh, I do believe that all the cloud service providers one day they will be the contributors in a single standard. Like right now we have TCP/IP for the internet, or we have the, let's say, the majority of the mobile operators, they use like these 3G 4G things. So all these standards like WiMAX or CDMA. WiMAX is that, CDMA is dying. So everyone contributes to a single standard. And I do believe that in the nearest future, uh, we won't be care about the revenue of like AWS or Azure or Google or their expansion, because all these providers, the local players, the hyperscalers, they they will either build themselves the standard or acquire this certain standard for the industry, and they will be the contributors in this standard to support their end users. Because by the end of the day, look, everyone cares about their product, their customers, and the revenue, and nobody cares about the underlying infrastructure, frankly. So that will be the logical, I mean, next step for everyone to unify this, build a standard, and forget. and then we will create something new that is going to overcomplicate this, and then that will be another standard.
But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There is that maybe it's a spiral rather than a circle of yes, what was yesterday's innovation becomes tomorrow's standard, and then there's the constant innovation on that. And I think the great thing you've achieved here is you've almost broken that cycle a little bit and got ahead of it by putting that layer of standardization across the complexities there. I think it's an amazing achievement to actually have that already there now, and it will be interesting to see what the next layer of innovation becomes before it becomes standard again. So that's been absolutely fascinating, that conversation. So I mean, thank you, Dmitry. It's always great to get insight from guys like you who sit there and I think see the world very differently. And hopefully everybody out there who's been listening has really enjoyed this. And thank you for attending the conversation here. And thanks from all of us to you, Dmitry, for sharing everything that you've got. I think the one thing I would ask everybody who's been listening is you're going to be asked for feedback having watched this. Give us some feedback. Tell us what's going on. Ask Dmitry questions. I'm sure he's quite happy to reach out and answer them for you as well. And we shall see you on the next one at some point in the future. So thank you for watching, everybody.
Thanks for having me. Thanks. Wonderful conversation. Thanks a lot.